another episode of Nerds for Life SuperCoach. I'm your host, Peter. Now, we're going to power through this episode because I am doing this as a break, okay, which explains the business shirt. I've got some night appointments that I have to duck off to, and well, I'm going to have to do this before then. So, big week coming up. We have injury carnage, and before I get into that, you know it, please make sure to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, of course. That's Nerds for Life SC. We've also got our oh my god, what do we have? We also have Facebook, Nerds for Life FC, or SC, sorry, TikTok, Instagram, and X, of course, and Spotify if you're listening to this on Spotify. So make sure to follow us on all those channels to stay in touch with everything. It could be, you know, maybe a last minute sub that you didn't see. Maybe I can notify you of that and save you a trade, honestly, because that is important this year, as every rookie seems to be subbed or starting sub this year, which has been amazing for cash generation. Now, last week, what did I do? I had a pretty average week. 2,366 was my score. Now, I did forget to mention before I go into the week, I do apologize, I am rushing a little bit. I am also a contributor of Inside F Sports, which I'm sure you guys are aware, and if you do subscribe to their Patreon, you with the code NERDS, NERDS, you do support us as well as them. And I do weekly articles, and I appear on their channel sometimes as well. And it's there where I'll post some exclusive stuff, such as why to hold Caleb Daniel. And guess what? I'm glad I did, because the injury carnage that we have in our forward lines means I get cover for that. And this is why you don't trade your primos all the time. In saying that, I traded out TDK and Adam Chera last week, which was fucking stupid. It was so dumb, because Adam Chera decided to pop off the second I traded him out. But this is my concern with that. My concern with that is that Walsh had a really bad game. He was heavily targeted. Okay, this season, whenever Walsh has fired, Chera has not. Chera has been fourth midfielder in line. He falls behind Patrick Cripps, obviously. He falls behind Sam Walsh in the CBAs. He falls behind George Hewitt. When I started Chera, I thought that he would be their third best midfielder, okay? Maybe average close to 100. He is fourth. Yes, he had an amazing game, but his time on ground didn't improve at all. It was still low. His CBAs didn't improve. It was just that Walsh was shut out. Wait and see, because I don't think Chera is the player that you're going to want to finish your season with. Yes, it's frustrating that I happened to trade him out the week before he absolutely killed it. I know that's annoying, but I still think the player I brought in is a keeper, and overall I will be better off, okay? But don't always trade out your primos after one bad game. I didn't trade out Chera because of poor form. I traded Chera because I didn't love his role anymore. I didn't see him being a keeper at the end of the year. I didn't see him being anywhere top 10 midfielder. So I decided to get a keeper. So that's why. Daniel, look, he is borderline. It's going to scrape maybe 10th place when it comes to the forward status. And with the injuries that we have, I'm kind of glad that I've got him still in the team. He's going to help cover me during a very tough time coming up for our forwards. And I will explain my moves in a moment, because I'm sure I've got heaps of questions about it. Now, going back to my week. Whitfield was okay, down back. Sheasel was a bit meh. His role is up and, just changes all the time, which is frustrating for owners. Clark looked like he was going to stink it up in that first quarter, and then he came home strong, so I'm glad that I've got him still. Roberts is looking less and less like a keeper, similar to Chera. He's scoring fine. Might be a luxury trade out late in the year. Zach Reed, 75 is fine, but he is, I think this is the last week where we'll probably have Reed. I think that he is starting to peak, so next week he's probably a trade out. Yes, I had Carroll's 31 on field, and that was disgusting. He is pretty much close to a trade out too. His break even's 43. He might not even get that, so I'm most likely moving him on this week. Peyton didn't play and Hasty didn't play. He was my captain though, Hasty, because I was able to loop Cherry. Brayshaw, Neil. Brayshaw got heavily tagged, but finished on a 99, which was actually pretty good. Neil, considering. Neil, 116, fantastic. Sinclair, 131, fantastic. Rosie, 91 was a bit disappointing, but Port didn't really have a great game. LDU, 117, his best score since I brought him in. Daniel bounced back with a 97. I thought he was going to go much higher than that, but did slow it down towards the end. Lindsay had a terrible start, finished on a 67, which was actually pretty good. And I had Clay Hall in the field, which was a 0. Amazing. Then I had Gorn and Cherry. Cherry was my captain. I was very happy with that. I'm averaging 145.8, by the way, on captaincy picks this year. That is fantastic. Smith was brilliant up forward. Petrarca, again, another strong start and poor finish. I just don't get it. He's falling shy of 100s, and it's really annoying because he's starting so well. It looks like he's going to have a big 120, 130 game, and then he just finishes on a 90-something. Rankin, same sort of thing. Started on fire, really slowed down. Warner, 126. Cannot complain. Jack McRae, 77. Kind of average game, but he punctured his lung. I don't know when that happened, but considering how unimpactful he was, I would say it was early. Jason Horn-France, yes, that 22 did make my team, which is annoying. Aiden Johnson actually made some cash, and I think he's still got a negative break even. He's got an 11 break even. He's going to go up by about 12k this week. That's fantastic. You know, I started Aiden Johnson, so I didn't bring him in, but he was probably the best trade-in option. Archer Daywicks probably gets dropped this week, but I knew that. I brought him in for the fact that he was the cheapest player. He had DPP, usually plays late in the round, so he'll be a good loop option. Maybe he plays a third game. Wasn't terrible. And then I had the absolute superstar flex, 179 from Rowan Marshall. All three captains played on the Sunday. The Sunday saved my round. Up until Saturday, it looked like I was going to have an absolutely disgusting round, and then my 3 rucks killed it. And it's been amazing since. I brought Rowan Marshall in when he was 470k, and he's now $74,000 more than what I brought him in, and it looks like he's going to keep going up and up in value. He's got a little bit of a tough ruck run coming up over the next month, but his month after that is elite. I've brought him in for the SuperCoach Final Series so I can start winning some head-to-heads, and I think he's going to have a really good finish to the year. Look, Gorn is averaging 130.1, Cherry's averaging 130.8, and then I've got another ruckman who's averaging 102.5. I cannot complain. I genuinely cannot complain right now. But the backline, the bench is looking thin. You know, Hustwaite might be back this week potentially if there's some injuries. West Coast actually got a win on the weekend, so maybe they don't bring in Clay Hall. Although Elijah Hewitt just looks terrible, so I don't understand. He did kick a really good goal, actually, on the weekend. Okay? So AFL-wise, this kid's got some talent, but he's just not getting enough of the footy. Boxall could come in with the injury St Kilda have at the moment. Jack McRae's out for the next 3 weeks. I assume Boxall, who had 30 disposals and kicked a goal on the weekend, might be the guy that comes in as an inside midfielder. So, fingers crossed, he's the guy that does come back in. And, you know, if Boyd ever does play, it's because Marshall doesn't, and I've got the perfect loop for that. Because it means that I can just move Marshall onto the bench and Boyd onto the field, so in flex. So that was my week. I actually went up about 650 spots, so I'm sitting... Where am I sitting? Oh my god, where am I sitting? Rankings. 2,205th at the moment, which is not too bad, but I do have some injury carnage coming up. We are going to talk about those injuries. Yes, we have Callahan, who's out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. We have Jack McRae, who's out for the next 3 weeks. And we have Horn Francis, who's out for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Okay? They're the big ones. They're the big boys that are out. Nash Wanganeen Malera is a test as well. That is considered a player that could miss as well. But the big ones, the 3 certainties, are those guys, and there are a lot of teams sitting there with all 3. And unless you've got a boost left, you could trade out all 3, but do you really want to? I'm going to be honest. I'm going to get into what I'm going to do most likely, and it does depend on what I can do with the players that are available. It depends on selections, of course, because I don't know. I don't think Clay Hall's playing. If Clay Hall's not playing, I think I just got to get rid of him. I actually think I've got to go make a move and get rid of him because I don't think I can ride another 0 on field again whilst having these 2 injured. So he does need to go if that's the case. I think Lindsay's getting close. Lindsay you can hold for another week. He's at least playing. He's going to make about 15k, you would say, this week. So that's still okay. Zach Reed and Lindsay are probably my trade outs next week. I'd prefer to trade out Carroll this week. If Hall plays, or any one of these midfielders play, I'm going to trade out Carroll. But again, it really depends on selections, what I'm personally going to do. Okay? Let's go to leagues first. And who was our weekly winner? Now, there was someone in my... The person that's the weekly winner is actually someone that listens to the podcast and is an active participant on our Facebook page as well. So the weekly winner is someone that... I don't know if he's in our open league, though. So let's take a quick squiz. Let's see. Round 11 points. No, round 12, 10. Why can't I get to round 10 points? Why won't it let me do it? Leagues. Let's try again. View league. Here we go. Alright, so points scored. No, he's not in our... Interesting. Well, I can't find him. Or maybe I can. I'll go find him. I just want to give him a shout out because he had an absolutely amazing week. So the group winner is here. He's just not in our open league. Where is he? I just want to find it. All comments. Let's take a look. I did see he's... Where is he? Yeah, Luke Sanigo, I think it was. Was it Luke Sanigo? I think it was him. Anyway, massive week. It was massive week. The group winner is an active listener, so congratulations. I just can't find your comment on Facebook at the moment, so I do apologize. But I'm gonna give Chains? I understand it now, is his team's name. I don't know what's going on here. His overall rank is 6,806. He went up 10,000 spots in 1 week. 10,000 spots in 1 week. And he scored 2,573, which is actually a huge score for a week with some actual carnage. He had Dale in defence. He's still got Finn O'Sullivan. Fucking hell. He's got a really great back line, actually. I'm taking a look at this. He's got Hewitt. He had Nick Dacos, which is interesting. That was disappointing. He's got Moraes as his flex. Wow. And he's got Ashcroft as well. So it's interesting. He's had a really good week, and yet he's had some disappointing scores on field in like O'Sullivan, Ashcroft, and Moraes. So it shows that you can have 2 or 3 bad games and still score really, really well. But congratulations, you're the weekly winner last week. That's fantastic. Now, we'll go into questions, okay? Actually, you know what? I really want to go into a strategy. I don't know my exact trades this week. I don't. I really don't know my exact trades this week. But I am considering holding McRae for that 3-week period of time and trading out Jason Horne-Francis. Now, I'll tell you why. I could do a lot of things with Jason Horne-Francis, okay? I think, for example, Nick Dacos is an absolute buy at this point. Like an absolute buy at this point. He's 157 break even, which is spectacular, okay? 157 break even, which is spectacularly high. Sorry, someone rang my doorbell and I just lost my train of thought. Like, I've gotten a phone call from someone and I've gotten a doorbell ring. I doubt it's the same person because the person that calls me doesn't know where I live, so that'd be really weird. So 157 is his break even, and he's probably going to lose money, okay? Which is fine, because if he drops a bit of cash, I can get him later in the year, okay? But he does have West Coast in round 18, which is kind of scary. So what I'm thinking is, because I've been a bit conservative on trades, I can afford to get rid of him and then bring him back. Because Jack McRae he's also got 151 break even. Holy shit. What do I do? now I'm like, McRae actually has a pretty good finish to the year as well. So holding him might be good too. Probably hold. I just want to hold both. I just want to hold both. Horn Francis is probably the one that has to leave the team, and I could probably get him later. I just think that McRae's end of season's just way stronger, and I think I'd rather have McRae towards the end of the year than Horn Francis. I think that he just has a bigger average at the end of the season than he does. So my goal is to get rid of Horn Francis, get another primo in, probably Dacos, or I go down early on like a Coleman or a Mills. I could get both using that money. Because I can get... So if I trade out Carroll... So that's the thing. I could trade out Carroll for Coleman and Horn Francis, move Daniel, and then get Mills here. No, get Mills here and move Sheasel into the midfield, and that's not too bad. And if I really want to boost, I can get rid of Clay Hall and get Cooper Simpson, who I think is the absolute best trade-in rookie at the moment. Boxall is second. If Jack McRae is out and Boxall comes back, I really like his role over the next few weeks. So, for cash cows, Boxall and Cooper Simpson, they're the best ones. You've got Sims as well from Richmond too, who could be a decent cash cow. However, he's a slow burn, and I don't think he's the kind of player that you're going to make much money from. He's one of those ones where maybe you've made, if you've still got an Archer Reed in your ruck, you could trade it down to a Sims, bank the cash, and you've still got that that ruck forward DPP. I like that. I've seen people with that, and I definitely do like that. So that is a play. That is a serious play, and I really do like that. They're the trading targets. I think Primos, look, I do like Shai Bolton. I am going to touch on him. He's got a -8 break even, and that's with the 5 in his rotation. So he's going to... That 5 that he scored against St Kilda, which was in a full game, by the way, will leave his 3-game average, which means his break even will still stay in the negatives next week, most likely. He's got North Melbourne coming up too. He's midfield forward. Look, he's going to make 100k for you. I don't mind the people that are bringing him in for a Horn Francis. I think that's great because you could go Bolton, who scores well over the next 3 to 4 weeks, and average as well. He's got the good buy, and then you can go back to Horn Francis later on if you want. Like, you could do that if you've been pretty smart with your trades. Like, I've got 21 trades and a boost still. I think I'm in a position where I could trade Horn Francis out and potentially trade him back in towards the end of the year. If you're in that position, go for it. Like, I think that that's definitely a play. I don't mind Luke Jackson, though he is a little bit expensive. 69 break even, so this is the last week that I would do it. But he does have a hard matchup coming up. Like, Port's fine. He's going to go big against Port Adelaide, even if Sean Darcy does come back in. But Witts and Cherry are hard opponents. He does have Essendon as well, so he's got Goldie, who's no longer a tough opponent. So, out of the next 4 games, 2 of them are okay, 2 of them are bad. I think he's definitely a play, but I prefer Bolton, definitely. All 3 Fremantle boys, they're pretty good. Cooper Simpson's the best rookie on the bubble right now. Noah Anderson's 544k. I don't mind this as a trade-in as well. He is probably the first tagged at Gold Coast this season. His lowest score's an 89, and that was against a very tough opponent in Sydney. And his highest score was 152 against Hawthorn last week. Looked great. He's been so consistent. He's the most consistent out of all the Gold Coast midfielders. Raul's still a buy as well. He's very cheap. 464k, honestly. We're in a position where money is going to be scarce with the amount of shitty rookies that we have making us cash or not making us cash. Jumping on guys like this could be a savior for you. This is why my first upgrades were players that were all in the 400k mark. All in the my first upgrade was technically Bailey Humphrey, which was just like didn't work out for me. He was 2-something-k. Then I went Petrarca at 481k. Then I went LDU at 494. Then I went I did something else. I did Bailey Smith at 458k. I also did Chad Warner at 489k and Marshall at 471k. It wasn't until last week that I actually paid up about 520k for Sinclair, and 680k for Cherry. They were the first players that I actually bought above 500k, and I don't think I'm going to be doing that again, apart from Nick Dacos. Nick Dacos is going to be super cheap this week, and he plays North Melbourne. I could see a big game coming up, and I would love to get Nick Dacos in if I can. If I was to get rid of both McRae and Horn-Francis, it will be for Nick Dacos. Okay? And I'm just weighing up whether or not I do that, because I know that I'm going to want one, if not both, back in my team by season's end. And it's whether or not I have enough trades to get both back in. I think I have enough trades left to get at least one back in. Both is going to be tough. Okay, I want to move Rosie into defense eventually. I want to move Sinclair into defense eventually. Roberts is most likely no longer a keeper, so therefore Reed and Roberts money makers. I want to get. I think that Callum Mills could actually be a keeper potentially, and Kitty Coleman is potentially a cash generator. He only had about 68% time on ground and still scored a 72. So I actually like the Kitty Coleman, but you could wait a week as well. And he did affect Zorko. We saw Zorko's score definitely be affected because of Kitty Coleman, and Fletcher was still back there. So, look, there's a lot of things that you can do. I'm considering holding one of the two, but if it means getting Nick Dacos in, I might have to get rid of both. I do hate it. But if I can turn McRae and Horn-Francis into Mills, Dacos, and Kitty Coleman, I don't mind that, but I probably don't want to miss out on Cooper Simpson, so it'll probably be something like, I don't really know. If I can afford Mills, who I prefer, I would go Mills in the midfield, and then I would get, in defense, and then I would get, what's his name? Because Reed to Kitty Coleman next week could be really good. It could be really good. So we'll see what happens, because Callum Mills actually had a really good VFL game. Let's take a look at questions. We've got 9 questions on Facebook. Okay, so this is from SuperCoach Co-Captains. This is Dano speaking. Why don't you get Dana on your potty? Also, what is more of a knee-jerk? You after the first game plays in a round, or B, the patella tendon reflex? Honestly, every time the first game happens, I've automatically had a meltdown, so it's definitely me. Also, you're on next week, so you're going to be on very soon. He'll be a special guest on the podcast next week. George Panostopoulos, I butcher that every week. What would be a priority, McRae, Callahan, or Davidson, Hewitt, Cleary out? Honestly, Callahan, you could hold McRae potentially. Davidson, Hewitt, and Cleary, at least they're still playing. You might need one of them to cover McRae, so it would be probably the one that has the highest. I think Hewitt needs to go. Matthew Bell, do you have a list of possible next lot of DPPs? I don't, but Rosie's the only one of note who will be getting defensive status. Mike, Brab, Skeen, any rumours on who DPPs will be? Literally, and could be useful trade-ins for Callahan and McRae. Look, Libba's still a really good option. Merit in the next couple of weeks is going to be about 520, 530k. I think Dacos, if you don't have him, is absolutely a bargain this week. So any of those guys, definitely. But Shai Bolton, I think, is a really good trade-in for cash generation anyway, and scores relatively okay as long as he's interested. Aaron Fellows, I'm looking to use a boost and target value. I want to bring in 2 of the following: Sarong, Anderson, Green, Dunkley, Jackson, Dawson. Who do you target around that? Okay. That's tough. I don't like Sarong. He's too much of a a tag target. Dunkley, I'm not a massive fan on. I don't think the ceiling's there this year. Apart from his round 1 game, I don't think the ceiling's there. Nah, not Jackson. Not with Darcy back. He's okay, but he's not amazing. I really like the Dawson pick. I really do. And either Anderson or Green, depending on your buy structure, are pretty consistent. Add Leonard, how to get 7 trades just to cover the injuries this week, mate. When you find out, let me know. Seth Fuller, thoughts on trades last boost? Out Jason Horn, Francis, McRae, and Cleary. My ends are Dawson, Day Wicks, and a mid. Who do I get? I have Cooper Simpson. You already have Cooper Simpson. Okay, all right. If you don't have Dacos, as I mentioned, I do like that. I don't mind if you've got trades left over. I don't mind going on Bolton just to make some money. I don't mind moving players into another position. So if you've got like a Sheasel and a Sinclair in your defense, I don't mind them playing in your midfield for a bit while you make cash on guys like Kitty Coleman and Callum Mills as well. So consider that. Look, honestly, Nick Dacos, if you don't have him, I think Libba's still at a really good price. If you don't have Sinclair, go Sinclair. And he's a midfield DVP, honestly. He's actually I think he's in the top 10 midfielders right now. So just go him. Jai Ross Botham, is it worth getting Luke Jackson, or will Sean Darcy limit Jackson's scoring? It will limit his scoring, but he's still been scoring pretty well, even with Darcy in the team. So he's probably a fine pick. I hate it. I absolutely hate that he's a fine pick, because I really didn't want him at the start of the year, and I kind of wish I had picked him. Moving on to X, we've got a few here. Let's take a look. And something went wrong. Why can't I see the comments? They're definitely there. Maybe I'll check on my phone. Where's my phone? Oh, it's all the way over there. Okay. And I can't be bothered editing that out, so I'm just going to go to my phone and get this. Alright, so we're on, let's see, questions. We have 4 questions on X. Will you bring in the hottest in the comp? I assume you mean Nick Dacos. Probably. Noah versus Dawson versus Libba. Cheers, mate. Okay, that is Lincoln. The first one was a blue check capital. He was the first comment. Lincoln, Noah versus Dawson versus Libba. Noah for consistency. Libba as well. You can't bring in Libba just before his bye. You can't. Which is next week. I really like Dawson. It's just the ceiling. Something about him. I just really like his run home as well. Brett Larman. How can I hack the SuperCoach website so I can have 6 trades available this week? Mate, when you figure it out, let me know, so then you can give me 6 as well. Bolts, and you can just add another 6 to me as well, please. Which would you choose out of Sinclair versus Clark versus Dale to trade in this week? I would say Sinclair. Just Sinclair. The DPP is going to help you in the long run. It just is. It's going to save your ass when you run out of trades or are getting close to running out of trades. Sinclair this week for me, 1000%. Now, yes, I usually do captains versus captain choices, but I will be making a video later in the week. It will be a reel. It'll be available on TikTok, Facebook. It'll be on Instagram. It'll be on Twitter. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be everywhere. So if you want to check out my captain picks, you can do so there. That's enough for me tonight. Thanks for watching. I will speak to you guys soon.